wanted to make another video about DMT. It's been a while since I shot one. Certainly been a long time since I took or smoked DMT. But just wanted to make it really for anybody who is contemplating smoking DMT, and just sort of give you a brief sort of outline of how it affected me and what happened. So a number of years ago now, probably about 2008, I took DMT pretty much solidly for a month, so every day for a month. And so that culminated in 53, or works out at sort of 53 times. So I reckon probably on those 53 times, a good half of the times I had full breakthrough trips. The rest were just, I would say, moderate trips. We don't have the breakthrough, but still quite profound in their own right. I think probably the best thing to do is to describe, because I've got a few issues with so-called experts, or people purporting to know to say they know what they're talking about when it comes to DMT and psychedelics in general. That isn't to say that some people aren't sort of on the right track. I suppose what I'm trying to say is I have issues with people when they start talking about DMT being the well, I actually have a problem with this when people saying that, it's a spirit molecule, that it puts you in contact with God. Certainly something happens when you take DMT, and for anybody watching this who's saying, well, you haven't had the breakthrough trip, yes, I fucking have. The very first trip I had was the breakthrough trip, and I certainly can report that I felt like I had encountered God. For want of a better word, it didn't say it was God, or it didn't say it was God, but I got the impression that the entity, the thing that was talking to me, wanted me to pay attention to the fact that it was this a manifestation of the thing we like to call God, but it never said it was. It was just I was just left with the impression. I could have easily, after that, just that one experience, gone off and started evangelising that I met God and God had told me to sort the world out, and etc., etc. What I really felt more though was a connection with the earth afterwards. Not that I didn't have that before, because I'm quite a kind of outdoorsy sort of person. I'm very open to the fact that it's quite possible that this world has all been manufactured in some way, that it's all the work of a supreme being. Although being, I think, is the wrong word. I think it's a bit more involved than that. I don't see it as one particular thing. And anyway, if this thing has created the world, the universe, all the universes, all the stars, all the planets, all the animals, all the water, all the oxygen, all the fucking everything, then it's pretty impossible really to get your head round that thing. It's kind of, you just have to accept it and move on with your life. And I think this is what, when you watch, particularly, I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan and his podcast, because what I like about him is the fact that he's just a guy talking about life, and his perspective. It may not be right, might not be wrong, but it's just his perspective, his guest's perspective, how they view things, and certainly when it comes down to this whole thing about God, I mean, at the end of the day, no one fucking knows. No one knows. As I said, I could have had that experience and the experiences afterwards and started some sort of cult church quite happily. I'm sure there would have been people who would have followed me, but at the end of the day, I was left with more questions than answers. I think that's the way life's supposed to be. I think I was supposed to struggle, if that's the right word, and just keep on going until you meet your timely death, which could be any fucking time. And wouldn't it be weird if while in the middle of I'm making this video that I just croaked it and died? Would it be? Well, I think it's funny, but perhaps you don't. But anyway, so DMT anyway. So my first encounter with leading up to finding about DMT, I'd had some how should we put it? I should have had some run-ins for various other drugs in that trying to find that spiritual element that I heard people talking about, and I came from Somerset, so I was quite involved with the Glastonbury community and been to Glastonbury Festival a few times and seen people high, but not really kind of had the sort of balls to do it myself. But and heard them speak about, we have this connectedness with the planet and that kind of thing. So I wanted to sort of investigate that myself, but you smoke weed, okay, you get a bit high and giggly, you have a bit of more connectedness with people, that kind of thing. I did various other bits and bobs, a little bit of LSD, some mushrooms. I didn't really like the queasiness you get with mushrooms. And this all led me to, keep on searching until I found, or I've heard about, I think it was through Joe Rogan actually, where I heard about DMT, and I thought, well, this sounds like the Holy Grail. So I made some, and I was quite surprised when I managed to make it. It appeared to be like the sort of things I was seeing in pictures on the internet. So I made it, and that's kind of where the problem started, because it's really, really hard if you don't have the appropriate equipment, like a vaporizer, because it vaporizes about 40 degrees. So you end up burning it, and that is like smoking a fucking biro, like plastic. It's completely noxious. It really takes the back of your throat out. So I'd done it about 2 or 3 times, and I was really getting to the point where I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to give up on this whole thing. I can't get it right. It's obviously not for me. All those self-doubts that we all have all the time, kind of, this little voice in your head, what are you doing? You're sorting your shit out. What the fuck? You're on drugs, kind of thing. But I persevered, and I finally managed to get like a system together. I had a pipe, and I went through a water filter with charcoal in it, and that kind of just made it less. Obviously not burning it, you didn't get that sort of. You still got a slightly tangy, plasticky taste, but you didn't get the burning. So I got myself all ready. I'd fasted. I did pay it a bit of respect. I do kind of do think there is some, getting yourself ready for an experience like that. I think it's kind of it's a psychological thing. So I had a bath, I got myself clean, I paid some respect to it. I sat down, had so I had the pipe, and so I'm ready. And so I applied the flame to the DMT, or rather what I do is I put it between 2 layers of cigarette ash. So you're actually not putting the flame onto the DMT, you're just heating above it. And it kind of melts into being in amongst the ash takes some of the harshness out as well. So I always remember kind of during my investigations listening to a lot of Terence McKenna, and he was saying that you need to do this sort of 3 toke thing. So you need like a small toke to start with, and just to get yourself lungs used to it, and you get this kind of the weirdest thing is when you have that first toke, your brain kind of goes, "Hello, I know you," which is a very bizarre experience. And then the second toke, which is slightly deeper, and then the third toke should be like it was your last breath on the planet, and that's the most important one, because you need to get that literally that last breath in, and just like it is your last breath. So I did that, and I was instantly transported to another place. Now let me clarify that. I was still in the room because I videoed the whole thing, so I kind of, I didn't go anywhere, I didn't time travel, I didn't, whatever you want to call it. But it felt like, when you get those films where they kind of shot, the screen goes, and you're just, and you're like just being shot through an opening somewhere. And I felt like just like a pair of eyes on a brainstem in this vast white somewhere else, is the only way I can describe it, with colourful things popping up everywhere, almost like cartoon plants popping up everywhere, and just sort of. And my first thought was, because I had my daughter that day, but she was at school, is fuck. I've killed myself. I'm dead. My daughter's going to come home, find my cold corpse on the sofa. what the fuck? But the strangest thing is, it's almost sort of a familiar thing. You kind of go, well, actually, no, I've kind of been. It's almost like a dream state. I've almost like been here before, not in this exact location, but it's very familiar, but also not familiar at the same time. So so I'm sort of I'm there in this futurescape, and I had some music playing, and the music's kind of built, so I can still hear the music, which you don't really fully absorb when you're under, as it were, but it comes back to you later. So I've got the video there. I'm videoing myself. The music is building, and then in the distance, it's kind of like, the only way I can describe it. So if you've seen pictures of Quetzalcoatl, I'm probably not pronouncing it right, the Aztec god, just the face, that kind of like manic face with the tongue sticking out and the teeth, is in the distance, but it's more like a 2.0, Windows version, and it's kind of coming towards me. And as it's coming towards me, somewhere, either that thing is doing it, or from somewhere it's kind of beaming into me. Do you see now? Do you understand? And I'm going, yeah, I fucking do, but this is freaking me the fuck out. I really was freaking out, and the video shows it when I'm trying to get up a couple of times. And then I'm kind of like, well, no, hold on, this is what you wanted. This is what you asked for. And what is it? What have we got to do? Oh, remember as much as you can. This is what Terence McKenna says. Just try and remember as much as you can. I mean, he was asked once in one of his talks, can you die from DMT? And he says, yes, if you fear death by astonishment. And that's exactly what it's like. It's astonishing. You cannot describe. You come back and try and think. I mean, I got the main points, like the flowers and the 2.0 Quetzalcoatl, but there's just so much going on, and the colours are so vivid and so different to what you're normally used to, that you can't make sense of it. And you literally, and it's like a dream. As I said, it's like a dream. You come out of it, you remember the main points. Oh, there was a girl, there was this, there was that. I was in a car somewhere or whatever it was, but you don't remember all the specifics. Although you remember the dream being very, very real and vivid, and that's what it was like. So that kind of then started to subside, and then you sort of came back into my head, as it went into my body, and I was right, I'm not dead, I'm on the sofa. Here's my body. Couldn't really move that much, and then gradually could move my arms again, and then I just laughed hysterically, because it was just, it's almost like you'd been through a near-death experience. Like you've been in a car crash, and that sort of manic laughter you get when you've nearly done something really bad to yourself or killed yourself, or it happened to you. It's happened to me a couple of times, and you sort of you laugh it off, and that's what it was like. And just this astonishment that this tiny speck of stuff, the size of a matchhead, can send you to a place where, and it's true that people, Joe Rogan's talked about it, Terence McKenna talks about it, I'm talking about it. Nothing can prepare you for that experience. People say, oh, is it like LSD? I've had an LSD trip before, or I've done lots of mushrooms. It is fucking nothing like any of those. Nothing can prepare you. But it's not frightening. It is frightening in some ways, that it's that kind of complete loss of control. But once you've done it and come back, and you realise that no harm has befallen you, you're somehow more connected to the planet and the earth and everybody around you than you were before. Now, let me just say something about that. The downside to that is that it's very difficult, and it certainly was for me. Sorry, it was very difficult. Let me just talk about myself. Very difficult for me to understand the world after that. I had a few months after that where I just couldn't. Why are we working? Sorry, what are we doing this for? What is all this madness about? Why are we killing the planet? And I suppose the reason for me making this video is that to share that experience, and to let you know that if you are considering DMT, then don't be afraid. Be concerned in the sense that, I mean, don't do it if you think, if you like the way your life is, you like the way the world is, and you're quite happy with it, because you will never be able to look at it the same way again. You'll certainly be able to integrate after a while, but I mean, you've still got to go out and earn money and pay the bills, etc., etc. But but it does certainly make you look at things a different way, and I think for the better. And I think it's true that what Terence McKenna said is that not having a psychedelic experience, you're not doing yourselves any favours. I think it's, even if you only do it once in your life, just to have that experience, you should. And I certainly feel that people who are in a position of, people who are academics, people who are involved in physics and chemistry, and particularly brain chemistry and neurochemistry, that kind of thing, I think it's very important that they do. I think it's very important they look at this thing and say, what is really going on in the mind, in a hope to understand it and to stop this ridiculous, drugs are bad fucking policy. I mean, certainly some things are, but I mean, DMT, no, it's not bad. It's not bad for you. And you got that conspiracy element of people saying, well, they don't want you to be enlightened and the rest of it. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's just they are really trying to protect you from what possibly could be, something that might lead you onto other things. I don't believe that myself, but that's the way they're thinking. So if you've watched this and it makes any sense, you want to hit me up on YouTube or Facebook and ask questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And I'll probably add a few more, because I've done ibogaine as well, which is again is another completely different experience, and mushrooms, and maybe I'll make a few more videos. So thanks for watching and take care. It's Tim. Bye.